there? Like, what if you just didn't give a shit and just got the best fucking house? Or what if you just didn't give a shit and just made sure you're the most happiest person you could be?
100%. What if you just don't give a shit? This social hierarchical.
Hey guys, what's up? So this is episode 9, one more episode until we hit the double digits. I'm very excited for episode 10. We just did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. It's weird. I learned this thing. I have like this friend who, he's like pretty successful. He's done like $50,000 days through e-commerce, maybe less, 30,000. He would net roughly 20%. But one of his biggest tips for productivity or anti-procrastination is to be able to say, you know, before he would do anything, he'll say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and he'll just do it. And that was a pretty good tip. So I sometimes use it and it works, but for some reason when I do something and I know I want to procrastinate, I prevent myself from doing it, which is so ironic. So I need to do it because it will get me to stop procrastinating. But yeah, and I think I saw this video where apparently you have 5 seconds for your mind to do something. If any more than 5 seconds, your mind will sabotage yourself to then get out of this uncomfort move or decision that you're gonna make. So you have 5 seconds to do whatever you've decided to. Any more than that, you're gonna flake. So yeah, that's interesting. 5 second rule.
When I hear about the 5-second rule, I think about when you drop food on the floor, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's an interesting way to do it.
I was thinking about something else. When you said I hear about the 5 second rule, I thought you were gonna say something else, Krishn.
Oh, we won't discuss what you We'll continue. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 9. That's actually a really interesting thing to do because, especially me, like I'll self-proclaim. I'll go ahead right now and self-proclaim myself as a king of procrastination. I procrastinate so much. I get stuff done. I do work hard, but I procrastinate just as much. So I think I'm actually going to try that. Just like I'm actually like that sort of person where I actually need to sit myself down and be like, all right, I'm going to start like psych myself into it, because if I don't psych myself into it, nothing's going to get done, and I'm just going to go back onto I'm pointing to my bed behind me, and it's a beautiful bed. Let me tell you, it's a beautiful bed, and I like just so attractive, and I just can't help sleeping on my bed all the time instead of doing work. But yeah, interesting 5-second rule. Let's do that. We'll do a countdown before every podcast, and we'll feel like 5, 4, and then everyone will get pissed off and just like, okay, shut up. We know.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the new intro to just get right into all. So we just like, oh, the audio's off. Oh, it's lagging. But if we just do it, then everything should work out. But Krishn, I'm liking the beard. Tell me, like, how much do you want to grow it out? Do you want to like turn into like the diet like? Who do you, like? What's that? Gandhi? Like, well, what's your move yet?
You said Gandhi because I'm Indian, didn't you?
I've been watching the movie Gandhi. Pretty good movie, but so boring, dude. Olden day movies are like 3.5 hours long. It's so slow paced, but I think I'll force myself to watch it because I think there might be a good lesson in the end. But that's what brought me Gandhi, and maybe because you're Indian. Oh, well, you're not Indian. Or you are.
I haven't seen Gandhi, but obviously I know about him, etc. I might give it a watch. But no, I'm being very lazy. I just can't be bothered to shave it. And B, I'm trying to see how far it goes. Like I can't get good growth like a lot of other people, but it's filthy, it's dirty, it is what it is. Everyone is watching. I'm very sorry. You have to put up with it, but it is what it is. It doesn't
look too messy. It doesn't look patchy. So it's pretty good on you. Yeah, it's not patchy at all.
It's taken time, but I want to keep growing. We'll see what happens, but I don't know. Like I'm thinking about a haircut, but I'm like, if I get a haircut, do I just shave it all off and then next week just be barefaced? But you know what? No, I'm gonna keep growing, and I'm gonna keep it up. You can't grow with me, can you?
So I woke up this morning and like my chin has like a few like frizzles. It's like a desert that like there's like it's trying to grow grass on a desert. That's this metaphor I have. So like there's a lot coming out, and I was considering, it's like maybe I should not shave and just try growing out and see what happens. Just let it keep growing. But then I thought, okay, today I have to film a YouTube video. We've got a few meetings. We've got a mastermind call. I've got this podcast. I was like, fuck it, I'll just shave it all off.
Oh,
so I lost the 5mm of growth.
Next week I'm shaving now. I feel bad. I'll shave it off. But Really quickly, I want to touch onto something that I didn't get to touch onto last week. Continuing on, so something that I wanted to bring up last week, but I didn't get you. I want you to change your light setting behind you to like a moody sort of color that we can sort of get the background, because I want to highlight what's behind you. Because, okay, for context, I'm at work, I'm on my lunch break, and I'm chilling, scrolling through my Instagram feed, and I see my good friend Andy posted something. I'm like, okay. And obviously, I've been in Andy's room before, so I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a study room. I know what it is. So I look at, and then I'm reading the comment, and it is because he structures his comment in a way where it's like, it's like a story where you read it and you get intrigued, and you get to the end, and you're like, oh, interesting. So I get to the end, I'm like, oh, I haven't seen Andy in maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I'll leave this guy alone. He goes and buys a bloody fish tank. I'm like, what the is going on? But dude, look how sick that is. That is amazing. And because when Stephen told me last week that you got one, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Because I just thought like bloody goldfish, and then I see an Instagram post, dude. I saw fish with whiskers on there, and I'm like, anyone that has fish with whiskers, that's a real sort of fish tank. You know what I mean? That's not like people can't see it properly, but like it's so cool. And you got it so perfectly. Like you got it on the perfect size. Did you measure that out? What was the thought process behind it? What was the whole thought process behind it? Because obviously I'm very curious. Because okay, don't take it. I hope you're not taking it in a bad way. But I literally just saw it. I just started laughing. I was like, I'll leave this guy alone. He buys a fish tank.
I'd love to share my perspective. So I was hanging out with my Uncle Peter. He's like a philosopher. Well, he taught me maths and everything. He was like amazing uncle. He's like late 20s.
He taught me maths, and therefore he's a philosopher. Yes, I love it.
Dude, when he was teaching me maths, he like forced me to like understand everything, and it was like hard training. And dude, we were doing like I was freaking doing. What's that thing in Fourier when you learn about like momentum and like velocity and like the ball rolling down? Like, what's that topic called?
Mechanics.
Yeah, mechanics. Dude, he taught me mechanics in January. I don't know, we went backwards for some reason. We started with mechanics, which is like the last topic. But he made me understand everything, and he helped me with maths. So he was chilling, talking, and I was like, because he has these fish tanks. These like 2 fish tanks. And I was like, oh, fish tanks are cool, but like I don't want to get one. I don't know anything about fishes. It'd be hard to maintain. I don't want to look after and I had like these 2 plants, but I wanted more life in the office. And before, this backdrop was empty. There was nothing here. So I really wanted to fill it up. And it was like, dude, you should get a fish tank. And I was like, I said those sort of things I just said. And I was like, okay, all right, let's go on Gumtree and let's look for fish tanks. And we're on Gumtree, and I was looking at many different listings. We found this fish tank for like 500. It was like a whole setup for 500. I was like, huh, this looks pretty good. I showed him. I was like, is this a good deal? Because I can't tell. Is that expensive or is that cheap? He was like, dude, like the filter itself is like 500. Like that looks like a good deal. All right, since you're here, I'm gonna call him now. I just hit the call button, and my uncle was like, what the f-? Dude, you're so crazy. Like, what are you doing? Like, we're just chilling. It's late enough. Why the f- are you calling him? I'm like, because I want to see if it's available. He's like, dude, you're crazy. And I think like that's pretty normal, because I'm a pretty like action taker. I believe in doing it now, the power of now. And like a lot of people would wait off like 1 or 2 weeks, but I just called him on the spot because I knew that I had someone that had knowledge when it comes to fish tanks. So I wanted to call the guy while Peter was here. So I called him. I was asking him questions, and Peter understood everything he said. And I tried to negotiate, and the guy was like, nah, 500 is a pretty good price. Over that week, I was like, as I did more and more research, I saw that was actually a pretty good price. And I knew that Saturday I would have Steven, Tony, Juan come through, and they may be able to help me get the fish tank. And I was thinking about, I was like, 500 is like pretty pricey. But like I thought about like the productivity, I thought about the vibe, and it's like a one-time payment. But even if it increases my productivity by like 10% a day, over a year, that's a lot. Like if I can output $200,000 worth of productivity a year, and actually that's $20,000 in productivity for $500. So I need to get this. So bought it. It was so difficult to get it. Me and the boys, it was like, dude, Stephen was sitting at the back. He was swashed, and he had to look after the whole fish tank. He was squeezed. We were all squanched up. Dude, I don't want to roast Stephen, but dude, it was just so heavy, and Stephen would like carry it, but like I could tell he's not putting any force up. You know how like everyone's, let's like think of newtons. Like I'm putting in like 200 newtons on the side. Tony is putting in like 200 newtons, and he's on the side, and he's like if he lets go, like we're both holding it, but he thinks he's on the side, so he can't add any newtons, so he adds like 5 newtons, and he's just like putting his fingers there on the side. And I'm like, even if you're on the side, you can push it up like you still can push it up like 50 newtons, so that we only have to put like 175 on each side. But he's just like, since if I let go, it's still stable, I'm just gonna hold my fingers there and just like walk aside. And then like
just to back him up there, if it was you and someone else on like the opposite sides of the thing, it is kind of useless for someone to be on the edge. I can understand, but Stephen, what's going on, man?
I have no idea.
And yeah, I know. Being in the middle is hard because you're like, if you push it too hard, it might topple that way. But
yeah,
physics-wise, if you even put a bit of force upwards, it sort of helps other people. But yeah, it's hard because like if you push it up, then it might top the other side, and you have to do some crazy maneuver. But like as a result, Stephen's like, since it's hard and I don't want to topple it, I'm just gonna hold my fingers there.
What do you have to say for yourself, Stephen?
Not much, as I know I'm up.
And dude, we were in pain. It was luckily Stephen's dad helped us. Like Stephen's dad was on one side, me and Tony was on the one side. Well, I was in the middle at first because there was 4, 2, me and Stephen on the side. And I was like, I'm not like doing much. I'm pushing it up, but it's not helping. And Tony is just like, he's just like scrunching his mouth. He's like he's not saying anything. Tony's like a type of guy that like he doesn't say anything. He just deals with the pain. So I could tell I was like, he's 2 sides. So I went and I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot of weight on this side. And me and Tony, I'm helping Tony, and Stephen's like, I want to help. Like that, Stephen's dad's like, help the boys, I'm fine. Like go on that side. Stephen's like, no, but I want to help you. And then as a result, he's helping no one. And he's just like, I want to help you, Dad. And then his dad's like, no, help the boys. It's like, and then I'm like, Stephen, come and help, come on Tony's side and help us. And then he comes on his side, and then he's struggling. He's been resting the whole time, like lightly pushing it on the side. And when he comes and assists Tony, he suddenly was like, oh, like this. He was like, oh, he was exhausted, but he should be he has the most energy. Without Stephen's dad, we would have dropped it for sure. But yeah, it was a tough journey, but it was worth it, and I'm really appreciative for the guys for helping me do it. And like I appreciate Stephen's assistance, but hopefully like this also like gives like a good lesson, because like now this isn't going to happen again, Stephen. Like no one else is going to roast you on this situation, so hopefully like it's able to prevent future situations.
No, but if like it looks really small, but I can imagine it's heavy as hell. Like it would be. So you had to fill it up with water. You got the filter going. How often would you have to change your water, or you don't need to because there's a filter there? What's the process with that?
So dude, on top of that, the guy gave me a 3-hour lesson. Like it was a steal. Like he taught me everything from A to Z. And now I know I'm a fish expert. Like what might have taken someone like 6 months to figure out, I'm a fish expert now. But
3-hour lesson on what? I thought you just put some water in, have a filter going, and just chuck your fish in, and that's it.
He showed me everything from the water changes, how to basically do pH tests, NH test, hardness test, what to put in when it's too hard, not hard enough. Don't take that, I forgot what's the word. I don't know, that's what she said, I don't know. How to feed it, how to manage the plants, everything, how to do the carbon, how to connect everything up. It came with all the chemicals, all the food.
Also underneath the tank is all the chemicals and food and stuff.
Yeah, all the chemicals, all the food, the CO2 filter. Yeah.
So the purpose of getting it essentially to have some life into your room and hopefully like put some productivity to yourself. It makes you feel a little bit more lively. It makes you feel more energetic. Is that what it is? Yeah, I never really thought about it that way. I always thought it would be just like a mental piece of sort of, you know, when you enter a really nice fancy home or like a fancy restaurant, you always see like a big piece, like usually like an aquarium-esque big large fish tank piece, and I'm like, oh, okay, looks cool. I didn't think of it in a way that you can use it to like sort of motivate you, and I still don't really see 100%, but I can sort of see it. It just stimulates you more than anything, I guess.
Exactly. I think it's just stimulating. Like for some reason, like, dude, like 2 hours ago, I was exhausted, and I went on a half an hour walk, and I was recharged. Like something about just like nature and just being able to. Sometimes I would just stare and look at the fish tank. Like it's crazy. I'll just like look inside and I'll just stare, look at all the fishes and say hi.
Hi.
And then like I feel good.
Be like, oh. You know, you should get a cat. Actually, not with the fish tank anymore. Not with the fish tank, but because the cats will probably break the thing. But,
one more thing.
And you don't want Stephen's hard work to go to waste on the tank.
Yeah. One more thing I want to let Stephen know so like he doesn't make the mistake again. So like on the top of the fish tank, we have like these glass panels, like these glass, like just like a glass. And for some reason, like we could place it anywhere. We just like place it on the floor, but he leans it up against this couch. He leans this piece of glass against this couch. Now it was my fault for not checking that there was a piece of glass leaning against this couch. So like when I was trying to get the electric, I moved the couch and the glass fell down and it broke. So like, don't lean glass against anything. Just like put it on the floor, Steve. Just like.
Did it break?
Yeah, it broke. It cracked.
Did you have to get a new panel?
I just sticky taped it together. I'll show you.
Oh my. No, don't take the sticky tape out. No, don't. It's okay.
You do it for the vlog. Oh, hopefully it doesn't crack. Can you guys see it?
Oh, okay.
It moves.
You know what? When I see you again next, we'll go and buy a new glass panel for your fish tank.
Apparently I could just like, apparently there's people who cut glass and maybe they could just like cut another glass.
Yeah, there seems to be like industrial area. Hey, you could ask that guy that you met in that industrial area with the meat factory if he knows anyone that can cut glass or anything. That's a good little segue into you meeting up with him again as well.
Oh, how'd you know?
Did you meet up with him again?
Yeah.
How'd it go?
So after the amazing initial meeting, that night I came home and I followed up on everything. So I just
so just some context really quickly. So a couple of episodes ago, we talked about when Andy was.
Okay, I'm just going to do an unboxing while you talk.
Okay, yeah, so this is a different type of unboxing. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about when Andy went to get a haircut somewhere and he parked in someone's, he so rudely parked in someone's apartment spot. This absolute idiot that you see here before you, this mastermind genius parked in someone else's spot. The guy got angry, etc. But Andy, messaged him and be like, hey, I'd really like to make it up to you, and I'll get some pizza and everything, and then it should be sweet. And then they met up. And then it turns out they met up again. What the?
Dude, I don't remember buying masks. I got a bunch of masks. I don't remember this.
You would have bought that ages ago. You would have bought that a while ago.
I think that's it. I bought it ages ago. Before, like when COVID was hot and everything. Oh, that's funny. I got a bunch of masks. Sorry.
I mean, COVID is still hot. Everyone should still be wearing masks if they travel on public transport. If you live in Sydney or if you are watching from America, please be vigilant. Anyway, so Andy met up with the guy that he so rudely interrupted his evening. He wasn't happy, but he made up to him. He got pizza. They met up and then, kind of hit it off. But it turns out they met again. Best friends now. What happened?
So
you met up with him? Was it chill?
After I met up with him, I followed up on every advice he said. And he didn't reply. I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait it out for maybe 2 or 3 weeks and I'll follow up again. A month went by, I followed up again. No response. I was like we hit it off and he hasn't, he's ghosting me. He hasn't replied at all. And I was like, maybe I should just roll up to his place again. And I knew I eventually had to do this because if he's not responding to me, I'm not going to just keep sending more messages. And the only next move would be to just roll up and just meet him in person. So I knew that if I don't do it now, I'm going to do it next week. If I don't do it next week, I'm going to do it, because it's always going to be in my mind. Like, I have to do it to like make sure, like, because I always have these things like, if you don't do it now, you'd lose opportunity forever.
Yeah,
like I was
you're
like
never gonna do it.
guilt trip myself. I was like, dude, if you don't go ahead and talk to those group of strangers and say hi and introduce yourself, you're gonna regret it forever. And I then I go ahead and do it. So it was that same mindset where like I might as well just do it now. So last Thursday, when I was refilling the CO2 gas tank, I should go ahead and give him the vaporizer that I promised him that I got from USA. On the way driving, dude, I was nervous. I was like, what if he's not there? What if he like just like is pissed? What if he tells me to f*** off? Maybe like what do I say? Like, what if I get stopped by the lady at the front and the admin? What if he's not even there? Like, and I'm just like running through and I'm just like sweating. I'm just nervous driving there. So I'm driving for 25 minutes. I'm trying to listen to music to calm myself and try to get myself in a state of confidence. I'm listening to freaking Drake, pop star, and I get there and I look at where he usually parks and I don't see his car. And I'm like, maybe he's not here. Pull up, I park. If he's not here, I'm gonna say I wanted to personally give him this, but if he's not here, I'll come back later. Like, I didn't want the assistant to give him my gift. So I go up to the assistant and I'm like, hey, is Tony your CEO here? I had a meeting with him last month and I promised him a gift I want to give to him. And she's like, yeah, come this way, like go to the door. And I was like, do I have to knock or do you have to let him know? He's like, no, go in. And then I go to the door and I knock. I'm like, hey, and then there's this other guy named Peter as well, I think. He's just there on his computer and he hasn't turned, he's just like on his computer. And I'm like, hey Tony. And he's just like, he turns around, he's like, oh hey. And he's just like acting very nonchalant. He's like, hey man, how you been? And I go up like, hey Tony, how's everything been? I just brought a gift. Peter was like, oh, Christmas came early. And we just end up chatting for like the next half an hour, and he obviously had to get back to work. But we had like a good chat. Gave me some like one of his new products, this Instant Pho that he somehow got from Vietnam and he's going to stock in Costco. We just talked. He replied, thanks for coming by, and we were like talking back and forth. And I was like, yeah. And when I left, I was like, so Tony, like, how do I like keep this up? Like, how do I, I really value your thoughts, and I'd love to, keep in touch. He's like, yeah, just do what you're doing. Just come by when you're free or when you're in the area. And obviously, don't take, if I don't reply, don't take it personally. I'm just like super busy. And like in my mind, I was like, worst case scenario, he's not going to be there, and like that's okay. And like I was just like expecting the worst, and it came out. I was like, yeah, like that was awesome. So that's what happened. Yeah.
He's just busy. He's a big bloke. You can't expect him to be replying to you all the time. He's a big bloke. But hey, I'm gonna come over. I want to try that instant Pho. That sounds. Hopefully that sounds good.
Yeah.
Did he actually give it to you?
Yeah.
Did he give you bags or just one?
He gave me like 3 different ones, 3 different flavors.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Tried it, sent him a photo, gave him feedback. He's like, thank you for the feedback, I appreciate it. And that's it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
But yeah, so that was cool. And apparently has like a S63. So when I was like telling you like about those cars, he had like those like 100 to 150,000 dollar cars, C300s. Apparently he has another freaking car. And the car I saw in the driveway, he had like the car that I bought for my mum, but like an AMG version. It's like his family car. He had that. So he has many cars apparently. So I'm just learning more and more over time. So yeah.
One day. One day those cars, I'll be able to own one. If I own one of them, that'll be fantastic. That'll be fantastic. But yeah, that's that.
What's your next moves when it comes to the financial situation of the world? When it comes to, do you want to get a house? Do you want to get a car? Do you want to just save up? Well, what's your next move? Now you got like a job. Like, yeah, now you got in a job. Like, you've done basically you've studied hard in primary school, you got into a selective school, you studied hard in selective, you got into a good degree, you studied hard in your degree, now you've gotten the job that you wanted. What's next?
Oh, dude. Selective school. What a throwback. What an absolute throwback. Oh, God. Were you in the selective stream?
I was.
So for anyone that doesn't know, is listening and is wondering what the fuck we're talking about, selective schools, I don't know, I'm struggling to find something good to say about them.
By the way, Steven's also in a selective school. Was.
Steven, what school did you go to?
Oh, I went to Moorebank.
I don't know.
That reaction.
Oh,
I didn't even know
Krishn, which one
Moorebank
did
was
you-
selected.
Krishn, which one did you go to?
I went to. Oh, here we go. This is. I hate saying this. I went to. Oh my god. So it sounds like I'm being stuck up and everything, but I'm not. I just. So from year 7 to 10, I went to Penrith,
Ooh.
and then in HSC and prelim, I went to Girraween.
That's like a top 20 selective, I
Yeah.
think, or like in the top 20. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
We don't talk about this. For me, it was just convenient for me to move schools. That's why I moved. It's not because of any ranking. I don't care. Honestly, okay, we can have if we talk about schools and the way the schools teach. Actually, let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's go
okay.
into that.
What I want to say is, dude, I remember like when you were in like year 7 to 12, or like even year 7 to 10, you would hang out with like if a para person hung out with a Girraween person, you could tell they were like an
dude, yeah.
echelon above. Like Girraween, and then like Girraween could like probably pass as like maybe like one of the top like Sydney, James Roos, Borko, like Girraween would be like the 4th one maybe there in that trinity. But yeah, I remember those like rankings, those echelons based on what high school, what selective school you was. There would be like status.
Yeah, 100%. There was definitely an echelon. Going back onto your earlier thing about like financial goals and stuff, like we'll talk about it more in private and in person because there's a lot we have to catch up on. Hopefully be able to see each other soon. Actually, I'll just finish my assignments and stuff. So look at us spending a catch up over the podcast. Look at that. We love it. Love to see it. But yeah, we'll talk about that in private. But okay, look, I don't hate selective schools. I don't not believe in them. I think it'll be good to get Steven's input on this as well. I think the way that it's structured, not structured, sorry. Let me rephrase it. The way that it's been pent up to be, and the way that it's been like not fantasized about, but it's like it's glorified. It's glorified by so many of immigrant parents, not just immigrant parents, obviously. Like if your child is bright and they're bright and they're doing well, it's obviously you'd want them to be surrounded by like-minded, hardworking students who have those same ambitions. And because I can 100% guarantee, well, everyone knows this. If you don't know this, you're stupid. You're a direct product and a combination of your immediate surroundings, being your friends, family, etc. Right? You hang out with people who aren't as hardworking, ambitious, goal-driven as you are with your future, with respects to your future, given that obviously high school can pave the way to how you set yourself up for university, because if you don't study hard, etc., and I'm not saying that obviously you can't succeed if you don't do well in high school. That's bullshit. What I'm saying is you just stay on the right track. It's like everyone says, stay in school, finish school, then do whatever you want after, you know what I mean? But the way that it's glorified selective schools, I just don't think that it should be as glorified as it is, because you can have a regular school beat it normally. And I just think I didn't not hate it, but I just thought, it's just one of those things. But like, I obviously my closest friends are from the first school I went to. Don't really talk to many people from the second, except for like a few. But like, yeah, it is what it is. I just don't think that it's everything that it's set up to be, because bro, once you finish high school, no one gives a about if you went to James Roos or the top school or the top 2. Bro, what counts is like, I don't know, bro. Like, it matters differently to everyone as to what's important to them, obviously. But No one gives a shit. If you're in high school and you're scared about your HSC, obviously do well, study hard, and do well. I'm not saying don't, but no one gives a shit about your ATAR the 2 weeks, 3 weeks after. And if the people that do care about the ATARs are the selective high school people who care so much, and then you don't hear from certain people again in like 3 to 4 weeks. Stephen, what was your experience like? I want to hear from you as well, given that you went to one and everything about it. And yeah, let's hear it from him.
Wait, so is Girraween and Penrith, they're fully selective, right?
Correct.
So what people don't know is that some schools are either partially selective or fully selective. So I went to Moorebank, which was partially selective. So that meant that I was also in a school with different types of people who weren't, I want to like say this in a mean way, but like weren't as academically talented, right?
Yeah, so just for context, selective high schools, to gain admission to one of those schools, you need to have a certain score in a test, and you did score quite well in that test. So it is an academically talented sort of school.
And what I do want to add in is like if you're like overseas, it's basically a way for like everyday non sort of wealthy families in order to get their kids into like a pretty smart educated school, because it was sort of like a public version of private schools where you can have your kid be super smart and you could go into a free public school and be surrounded by other like-minded selective kids. So that's sort of what it was. It was like basically the private school for sort of non-wealthy families, or like private school families.
And it's like one of those things where obviously results drive the school's repertoire, and when you have a school full of smart kids, the results that you're going to get from the final year exams. And I mean, remember when there was essentially the final year exams in your final year of schooling, what sets you apart is the results that you get, and the results that schools get. Obviously higher results yields more interest and demand from the brightest students. So yeah, it's all a hierarchy in terms of who gets where. Andy's right. You send your kids to private school because you want them to be surrounded by like-minded people. You send them, this is a government offered alternative which gives them access to like-minded individuals, blah 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 blah. Stephen, what was your experience like?
So coming from like a partially selective school, right? It was like being in selective made you different from the other just like normal kids, like the normal stream. And basically every single time that I would just walk around like during recess or lunch in the playground, the normal kids would be like, oh my god, look, it's the selective. And every single time it was like we were like a bunch of like secretive people wearing like corporate suits already. Like, you know, we already had like the intelligence to just walk around, and we're just like built different than other kids, you know. And then and at the same time,
built different.
At the same time, yeah, it just made me feel like, dude, like we're not that much different from you guys, you know. Like at the end of the day, we're still like people. There's nothing to like.
Built different.
I feel like I was being discriminated, like in a way, just because like I was more academically smarter than someone else. And what I do think is that with the selective school system, it kind of like builds like a social hierarchy of how, like, you know, you have like your top class working people, then like middle class, and like lower class. So like it sets up kids to believe that like this is the system since though like we're in high school. And then like with Krishn said, with kids who like go into selective and then like really care about the results, you know, they're always gonna like have that mindset that, you know, oh, I'm always gonna be the best, I'm always at the top, you know. But then it is good to like be driven and like do your best, but like at the end of the day, that's not always the case, you know. The world is much bigger than like academic intelligence. That's what I personally think.
Let's take a minute. That was beautiful, Stephen. That was actually beautiful, because it's so like speaking from my experience as well, it breeds such a toxic environment, especially in your last year, where people are so consumed. And look, it is important to, you know, to study hard and do well. So just do it properly, you know what I mean? It's important to just finish school properly. If you're going to do it properly. It's important to study hard and work hard and get everything done properly. But the amount, like, competition's good, but when it's unhealthy competition, it's not. And Stephen's 100% right. It teachers not teachers, but just being in that environment, it sets up such a social hierarchy that what are your ambitions are just not right because it's not what I think is the best. Or your ambition, or you want to be a chef and you go to a selective high school, bro. This guy's stupid. Don't talk to him, bro. Like, well, this guy wants to do film design or animation design. Like, oh, bro, no, bro. He's stupid. No, don't talk to him. He wants to do that stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like, bro, like, the world is so much bigger, bro. No one gives a fuck about you, you entitled piece of. This is all gonna get, that whole sentence is just gonna get bleeped out. But like, it's just one of those things because, like, especially in my school, Stephen, I don't know about yours, everyone wanted to be a doctor. So, like, medicine was a big thing. If not medicine, then it was like actuarial studies, and then if it's not that, then it's something else. You know what I mean? Like, there's those like hierarchical things. If you're not aiming to be, well, all the smart kids were like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. Maybe 0.5% of them got into being a doctor. And the rest didn't. And what do the rest do? They fall down. So it starts off like, say the doctor's at the top, then it falls down to actuary, then like maybe physio, then commerce, I don't know, right? And it's like a web of students at the top that want to be a doctor, and they don't get it, then they go down the web. They don't get that, then they go down the web more. They don't get that, then they go down the web more, and it eventually just, I don't know. I just don't think selective schools
It's
bring
so unhealthy.
the correct mentality. Yeah.
The fact that like you're just picking what, like, you're not even picking what you love. You're just going top down. And it's like whatever's the best option based on this hierarchy. That's so unhealthy. It's like saying like, I don't have a good metaphor right now, but you're literally just like picking what's the best and you don't even know if it's for you, and that's so unhealthy. And on the topic of like no one cares, like remember how like in year 4, everyone cared about what OC score you got, and then in year 6, everyone talked about what selective score you got. Then in high school, it's all about what high school you went into. In year 10, it was all about what high school you transitioned into. In year 12, it's all about what your ATAR was. And literally like 6 months later, it was about what university and degree you got into it. And then eventually, it's what internship you got. Then eventually, it's what job you got, what car you got, what suburb you live in, how, and then eventually it's like, no one cares. Like eventually when it goes to the point where it's like, what house you have, all the things below does not matter. Like we don't care about OC, we don't care about the selective score, like all that stuff just disappears and doesn't matter. And it's all about what house you have. And eventually that wouldn't matter, it's just how happy you are. So like the faster you can jump straight to the top and just worry about how happy you are and not worry and compare, the faster and ahead you're going to be. Because eventually everyone's going to get to that point where it's, you know, what car you have. And eventually it's going to be what house you have. Like what if you just got the best house? Or what if you just didn't give a shit and just made sure you're the most happiest person you could be?
100%. What if you just don't give a shit? This social hierarchical, especially people in selective high school, it's ingrained in us from such an age and for such a long time that we just forget, like, bro, just like when you just take a step back and just be like, focus on yourself and everything, like, bro, who cares? Like, literally, who cares? It's so stupid, and it sounds childish now, and it sounds like that. Or people might be listening if, you know, you go to one or not, and be like, oh, that kid probably couldn't stomach it in the selective high school in the competitive environment. Okay, go fuck yourself. First of all, I didn't do bad. It is not the best sort of culture, but in terms of that, it's like, yeah, people, it's tend to be frowned upon or looked down upon, even across, like, say, family. Like if I went to my family and told them, hey, I'm an animator, I'm a film designer, they'd be like, I'm making faces. To anyone that's listening, I'm making faces. So like, oh, what's he doing with his life? He's just a film designer. Oh, blah blah blah. No, it's all waffle. It's all cap. It's a fat cappuccino. It's just it does my head in, dude. Because the one thing that people don't realize is just focus on yourself and just be happy. And yeah, you're right. As when you do that, you forget about all this other stupid shit around you, and you just calm. You know what I mean? You're just calm. Stephen, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess you guys are really right about, like, you know, not really giving a shit. Like, definitely in life, it's not a race, you know what I mean? Like, everyone is always in a different position at every single time. It's not like, oh, you know, by 22 you should have your job, by 25 you get married, you're successful, you have like a nice car, and then by the age of 60, you know, you're retired. and then you're right, you know. But then I've heard stories of people who are still learning to this day. Like I know people who are like 50 or 60 who still like go to university and still pursuing like education. They're always trying to like become a better versions of themselves. It doesn't, life doesn't always just end there. Like there's no finish line. You can just keep going. Just pursue whatever you like. You know, if you have the passion for it, just keep going.
100%. Like just in terms of selective school people, like it was inherent to, I'm sure it was the same as you, Andy. It was inherent to look down upon people who weren't in selective streams or just weren't as academically smart, and you judge people based on the ATARs and stuff. Some of the smartest people I've met in my degree or uni are people that just went to normal schools. You know, there are people out there that, and like the thing is, we get so, people that go to academically gifted and talented schools, they get so comfortable in being that environment that when they leave, because they, you know, they always go tutoring and everything, and when they leave the school and then when they face the real world, they can't work. I've been working since year 10 and everything, right? So like they don't have the certain skills, they're not able, not saying everyone is, but some, bro, like this is obviously a smaller minority. I'm not saying everyone is, but I'm saying like there's a lot of things that they learn that are important that they thought that weren't important, you know what I mean? And then, you know, judging people based off how smart they are is so stupid. And some of the smartest people I've met, you know, didn't go to a selective school and everything. And like it's so important to have those different, surround yourself with different people, otherwise you're just going to be a loser for the rest of your life.
Like on that topic, I was watching David Attenborough's he has this like docu series. It's called The Cosmos or something, and he was talking about how like Earth, within Earth, there's like our galaxy with the whole sun, Mars, and how everything is rotating around the sun. And within that, there is the next level, which is like goes from galaxy to universe, where there's tons of different stars, and each star has its own rotating planets. And within the universe, there's like freaking millions of freaking universes, which goes to like the Milky Way, which is tons of freaking universes. And from the Milky Way, there's like freaking something bigger, I don't know what it's called, but there's a ton of these Milky Ways. And like within that, there's a ton more. Like, and then we're just like, so it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And how they sort of theorized that was one through like telescopes and seeing lights from many distances, and they could somehow they can see a light and tell how far it's come from, etc. And also they probably just reverse engineered it and looked at water molecules. How like in a droplet of water, there's like millions of molecules. And each molecules, there's fucking millions of bacteria. And each bacteria, there's millions of freaking, I don't know what bacteria are made of. Like I don't know, like whatever bacteria are made of. Within each one of those, they're freaking atoms. And within each atom, there's a bunch of neutrons. And we're like that little, like we're this little tiny like thing that's less like on that freaking neutron compared to the whole water droplet. And like everything's so like on a
minuscule.
Yeah, on a grand scale of things, nothing fucking matters. And then after I watched it, I did question myself. I was like, what's the point of life? Like it literally like nothing. Like
it's
what
like
do we do?
It's like hits blood. What's the point of life?
And then I was like, obviously I come back to the, like I have this one life, I'm just gonna have the most dopest life ever. In order to have a cool life, I gotta push myself to the limits. But even if I do achieve massive things, it's not gonna matter in a grand scheme of things. It's like, imagine like one ant was able to like accumulate house full of freaking snacks or food, and food was like gold. Like we don't give a f- we don't even know that that's happening. There's probably tons of ants stocking up food and has its own business, but we don't care. So that's what happens if that's what
so true.
People on a grand scale think of Jeff Bezos. They're like, whatever. Like they're not even thinking of Jeff Bezos being the richest person in the world. Just like we don't think about ants that are probably like hella entrepreneurial and just have a ton of food.
All the ants that are listening right now, you do you, boo. Keep going hard. But that's so true. Like to Jeff Bezos, we're all ants, and to people under, I don't know, man. Like, just do what makes you happy. For like, I think if you're listening to this, if you are in high school or whatever, it's important to actually do something that you enjoy, and it sounds so cliche. I mean, I don't think I enjoy what I'm doing, like completely, but it's one of those things. Like I don't know. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, but like just understand that don't trade your happiness in for something
Today
something
was
that
a
you think
grind
would
for
be
me.
a clout.
Like I want to like empathize. Like today was a grind. Like I was working hard, meetings after meetings, and it's tiring. Like I'm not like happy and smiling all day. I'm working all day. I'm like
Yeah.
providing value all day. I'm just like sucking myself dry. And yeah, like sometimes there are times where you just have to do what you don't want to do or what's not fun. But obviously, hopefully, that over time you can reduce that. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy how like I have like 3 work days and like 2 project days. I've sort of explained this on my YouTube, but I have work days where I sort of do meetings, do consulting calls, do student calls, film YouTube videos, and now project days where the calendar is blank, where I can just focus on trying new ideas, reading books, doing whatever I want, and just basically push the business forward. And then only recently, just like automatically, just through sheer like bit by bit working, like just building systems, the 3 work days, I can actually compress it into 2. So like, I used to work 7 days, and it's down to 3. I could probably compress that down to 2. It's like I was sad that like I have to work 3 days a week, and then I was like I'm able to decrease it to 2, eventually 1, and then eventually 0. Which is like the goal that everyone should like you should be decreasing what you don't like and increasing what you do like.
Yeah, it's all about maximizing all the things that you do like, etc. But obviously, don't compromise on your mental, spiritual, emotional, physical well-being, etc. Like you need to recharge. You need those days just to yourself. Even if you work a 9 to 5 like myself, the weekend is fantastic and it ends too soon. And I promise I don't hate my life. It's not as bad as it sounds, but look, it is what it is. Look, guys, we've hit the 50-minute mark today. I think it's a good time to just sort of wrap it all up. Thank you so much for listening, guys. If you have any suggestions, comments, anything that you think would be cool for us to talk about, please let us know, respectively, however you wish to tell us in the comments, etc. Let us know. We appreciate it very much.
Dude, I'm just thinking, like, imagine there's like 1 or 2 listeners, and obviously as we grow, Steven's gonna have a cult following. Steven's gonna have like this small group of people that are like raving Steven fans. Like I'm pretty sure Joe Rogan has a bunch of like people who just love Jamie. Steven's gonna have a cult following soon, I reckon, which is a good thing. That's a compliment, by the way, Steven.
It'll be like and Steven's bullying or free Steven. No, we're not freeing Steven. Steven is staying locked up in our basement. He's not going anywhere. We're not freeing him anytime soon. Isn't that right, Steven?
Dude, I reckon in those cult, there's gonna be some people that think Steven's so hot.
Look, Steven is gorgeous. I've never seen him before, but he is gorgeous. Shut up, Steven. Don't answer that. Stay quiet.
No, I said I was gonna
stay in the basement.
I'll buy a microphone. I mean, a webcam. I'll buy a webcam.
No. The mystery behind you is that no one can see you. Say that.
I'm still in the basement, right? Yeah. There's no face reveal.
Stay in the basement. Guys, I haven't even seen Steven.
We'll do a face review, episode 100, and then the face review is just like him wearing a mask. It's like freaking Kakashi. Episode 100.
Yeah.
Steven, you got 97 episodes to get ripped as hell.
Right.
Or 93, whatever that was. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening. Andy, you want to wrap it up?
Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Been having a blast with these. Hopefully, the goal is we could freaking kill this so that Krishn can have his dream job and just talk for a living. Like that's the goal, guys. We need to like keep growing this podcast, and I think like we got the chops. Like we have a good system going. I'm very happy about this, and I really appreciate all the core listeners. I know that there are people who are listening to this every single episode who are actually following the flip side. Like I don't know, but I feel like there's definitely like I know like we got at least 10 listeners. So there's at least 10 listeners that listen to each one of our episodes, Krishn, which is pretty crazy because we have friends that we send our podcast to, and they probably listen to the first 3 episodes, and they probably just like gotten busy and they can't listen to the rest. but there's like 10, people that we don't know out there that listen to every one of our episodes. And to you guys, like, I'm thankful. Thank you guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to us waffle, or not waffle. Sometimes give good value. But look, at the end of the day, I appreciate every single one of you. But yeah, we'll see where we go from here. It'll take a while, but peace, guys. Take care.
See you everyone. Have an amazing day. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.